Hey everyone, welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit 1992's Cutting Edge with D.B. Sweeney and Moira Kelly. So, sharpen up those ice skates and hit the ground running, or skating, I guess. It's time for another episode of Old Roommates.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Brian.
And this is Christina.
And today we are talking about the Cutting Edge. Christina, not Cutting Edge.
I know, but it didn't work with the Cutting Edge. My intro did not work that way.
1992.
Relax, mister.
Written by Tony Gilroy, directed by Paul Michael Glaser.
From Starsky and Hutch.
From Starsky and Hutch.
I was so happy to see that. And what's funny is it was directed by Paul M. Glaser. And I'm like, I wonder if that's him. And
Is it Glaser or Grazer?
Glazer, G-L-A.
Oh my god, it is. Oh my god, it looks like an R. You're right.
Please don't.
Glazer.
Don't.
So, and Tony Gilroy would go on to do all of the Bourne Identity.
Oh, interesting.
Right, all of those movies. So, both sort of action-y people making a ice skating romantic comedy. Mm-hmm. We begin, as we always do, talking about then. 1992. Christine, when was the first time you saw The Cutting Edge?
The Cutting Edge. I want to say it was definitely a video. It wasn't in the movie theater. And I was probably maybe in college.
Okay.
I want to say it was one of those things that just kind of threw on. And, and I liked it. My memory of it is different. I mean, I don't know when to even talk about it, but my memory of it was more about the skating. Mm-hmm. So it was funny, watching it now. I had a different interpretation of this movie, but I remember liking it, and I remember it being kind of action-packed and kind of on your edge of your seat. That was what I was expecting to see. Mm-hmm. Which it hit me a little differently now. But why don't we pass the mic over to you before I start going into the now? I mean, I can tell you, I liked it. Then.
Okay.
And, I remember him being, almost funny. Mm-hmm. It was, I don't know, my memory of it is a little different. But anyway, you go ahead and tell me what you thought about it.
So, I love this movie. I haven't seen it in a really long time, but I actually had it on DVD. So when we were revisiting it, I just watched it on my own DVD.
You're so funny. That's I would never think that you would have this on DVD.
Really? I found just the script to be so funny.
Yeah.
All of the insults. I loved her characters as then. And I loved this movie then. And I just thought it was really well cast. Moira Kelly was just so awesome in this, and I certainly had very little to do with ice skating for me. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was a pretty harmless movie, and I remember watching it on VHS or whatever it was, and then but then it must have been on cable and stuff because I know I'd seen this several times, and then I bought the DVD, and But it was funny when I opened the DVD, I'm like, I don't think I've ever played this before. But I'm sure a lot of my DVDs are like that. It's like, I've never even opened this.
Yep, I know. I have some unopened DVDs.
Yeah, but I was a fan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So, and what about now? With the rewatch, were any of your feelings changed? How long has it been since you've seen it?
Oh, God. Oh, my God. So, first of all, can you believe this movie is 02, 12, 22, 30 years old.
That's crazy.
So I'm going to say right off the bat, I mean, it feels fresh to me. This doesn't feel like a movie that's 30 years old.
No, me either.
And to me, it still hits all the right notes. Now, though, I think I'm just looking, sort of picking. Mm-hmm. There are some absolutely completely unrealistic things. There's so much falling on the ice, and the fact that they bounce back pretty quick. I mean, there's that one funny shot where he has the ice pack strapped to his sides.
Yes.
So there's like some stuff like that. Like, and then the ending, the final Pimchenko move where he throws her up in the air, like really high, and then catches her in real time. Like, you know, I mean, it's, you know, there's that kind of stuff. But to me, had little to do with ice skating and more to do with like, because there's no villain in this movie. The only villain is her own sort of pride and acceptance of not being perfect. And I really liked it. I loved it all over again. I loved Moira Kelly. I loved D.B. Sweeney. Terry O'Quinn. I liked the little moments of tension when it's revealed that she sort of screwed up, which should not have been a big surprise. I mean, everyone has the same video footage that he has.
Right. He's the only one that looked at it.
Right. But as a romantic comedy, it's very Taming of the Shrew. It's very much like she's this ice queen and everyone...
Literally ice queen.
The ice queen. And, but he's cuter than I remembered. Better body than I remembered. And she's... I think she's perfectly cast. I think it's a really great, fun, light, super charming movie.
So how'd you feel about it?
I hated it.
But the
script is strong. I really think it works. Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah. You.
If I have a chance to speak, please. That'd be nice. So I also liked this movie.
Oh, good.
But it was very different from what I remembered it being. So I agree with you. Now, watching it now, it was really very little to do with ice skating. I mean, honestly, like the ice was just sort of like a supporting character.
Yeah.
It wasn't a main part of it, which was so funny to me because I was really feeling like this was about the ice skating and really very little to do with it. For me, I really liked it also, but I will say the strongest part is the chemistry these two have with each other. It's so good. And I really loved it more when they were fighting.
Yes!
I mean, when they started liking each other, I was like, boring. So I was glad when they, like, started getting, you know, fighting again.
Yeah, yeah.
But I really loved the chemistry between the two of them. I do feel like it was pretty 80s-ish because of I know it's the 90s, but it felt 80-ish
oh my God.
Me.
Christina, I'm so sorry. I actually have that note. I know I said it doesn't feel like a 30-year-old movie. I think I mean that more in the script, actually. Because I have that note. So this feels very 80s to me. With the beginning with the one-night stand stuff.
Well, the thing with it's all like 80s tropes in this movie. Yeah. It's a 92 movie, but it had all these 80s tropes. With the soundtrack was very 80s.
True.
Even just like some of the footage, like especially with like the when he's with the hockey.
Yeah.
It was such a weird, like, angles and things. It was sort of a combination of a music video or, like, home videos. Yeah. And it was very 80s. And even...
The slow motion.
And all that. And then even just going back down to his hometown and, you know, working on whatever, the mills or whatever it was. Like, very, very 80s.
I have that same note with his brother when he's yelling. He's like, what's that supposed to mean? It's like, felt very 80s.
Yeah, it was
the way it's shot, it felt a little...
It was almost like, is this Patrick Swayze? Like, it was very, very 80s to me. But, aside from that, I agree that the script was strong. It still held up. Because it was the relationship. It wasn't anything else around it. I loved the fact, and I remembered this too, him trying to learn how to skate on figure skating skates with the little pick, the toe pick. I remember all that, like toe pick. Yeah. So his falling, I felt was more realistic. With him falling because he was trying to get used to this toe pick and tripping.
I agree. I just think the bounce back. Like, I mean, even though there's that one shot, again, that one scene where he ties ice to his hips. But there's a lot of wiping out. I mean, he falls, face first a bunch of times.
But as a hockey player, his whole life, that's a lot of falling. Figure skating, I felt like it was more believable for him.
Okay.
Because with the hockey, it's like you're checking
that's
each other
true.
and you're falling and you're really, it's like a huge amount of effort. Like falling, tripping, all that kind of stuff. But then with her... She's been doing this her whole life, too. She shouldn't be falling so easily.
Yep.
You know, that kind of thing. But as far as like getting up and bouncing back, I don't know.
Okay.
It didn't.
Christina, you
bother
changed
me.
my mind.
Oh my gosh.
I'll tell you what, something that
so
really...
that's the episode.
Something that really bothered me, and it's very nitpicky.
Yeah.
Doug's doctor. Could he had a bigger fucking smirk on his face? He was smirking the entire time. He was smiling.
I don't know what was going on there. I 100%. I'm like, this doctor has a grin on his face while he's breaking the news that he's never going to be able to play professional hockey again.
A shit-eating grin.
Smiling and grinning the whole time. I'm like, are you serious?
Here's what he said. He's like, 18%. You have 18% peripheral vision loss in your left eye. You've experienced severe trauma, and it's a permanent condition. Which would have been fine if he wasn't smiling and smirking.
I noticed that immediately. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what
I
is going on?
Never noticed that before.
And then no wonder what's his name? It's
Doug.
Doug.
But, I mean...
No wonder Doug is like, so when can I play again?
Exactly,
I wouldn't have taken it seriously either. Yeah. Oh my God, I totally, yes.
Yeah. I was a little like, Doug, did you learn nothing from Youngblood?
Right?
Like, I mean, Youngblood was like, what, 10 years before this?
Yeah.
8 years before this? But, that doctor, I'm so glad you had that note, too. He sucked. He was giving totally awful news with a smile on his face.
And the other thing that really sucked about this movie, well, not really about this movie, about Doug, I have, my little note says, hammering is not quite his thing.
What is it?
Hammering?
Oh, no.
He's having this conversation with I think it was the ice skating guy coming up, and he's hammering something.
Yeah.
1,000,000 times. One nail. Smashing. I'm like, okay, you got it, I think. Or maybe just stop. Literally 30 times this guy is smashing the same nail. And it's on like metal. Like, okay, you got it. Maybe, stop the hammering. I thought that was like really, really, really funny. I felt like the scenes were a little short. Like some of them felt like they stopped too quick.
Okay.
Like all of a sudden it was like, boom, done. Okay. Oh, okay. I guess they're done with that conversation. Like it seemed like a lot of the stuff was not finished yet.
There are little elements where it felt a little TV movie for me.
Yeah.
But only on rewatch. I never felt it. I never felt it in the times I'd watched this movie before. This time around, it felt a little 80s, like you're saying, particularly in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then it felt a little TV movie-ish. It feels very light. I mean,
it's very light.
I have nothing against a light, charming movie, which this movie is. But there are certain scenes that are shot, and I think that's very typical with TV, where they need breaks for commercials. Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of like these short, quicker scenes in TV movies to allow for sort of different stations to cut to commercial when they need to. But I felt that a little bit on rewatch with this,
or even like a regular movie that's being played on network TV.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
where like let's just cut this last sigh, or
just talking about some of the dialogue, which I really thought the script is great. When she talks about Hale and her fiance.
I think I wrote down the same. I think I wrote down the same thing because that's my first quote that I wrote down.
Yeah, it's my first, and I wrote, "Oh, you must look pretty good from 3,000 miles away."
Yeah, that's exactly what I wrote.
And she's awesome too, though, because he's like, and I'm a long way from lunch, and she's like, "Don't let me keep you from the trough."
Yeah, such great insults, and it was great that they were both like kind of mad at each other. It wasn't like him wanting to do this.
Well, he's bitter about his
and
hockey
she's bitter, like they're both bitter, right?
And she's bitter because no one wants to work with her,
right?
Or rather, she doesn't work with anyone, but it's really because of her. And then it's like, and then Hale says, "I don't like seeing Kate upset." And Doug says, "If I were you, I'd invest in blindfolds."
Yes. Oh my gosh, good. That was really good. Yes.
One of my favorite moments. It's super short. It is simply a facial expression. Moira Kelly, after Doug pukes like 10 times because he's so nervous, he goes up to her and he just says something in her face, and it's not super obvious. It's not like close up on Kate's face when he talks to her after puking.
Yeah.
But I laughed out loud.
It was very real.
She's great with facial expressions.
Yeah, she was.
And
She
her
was
delivery's
really good. Yeah, I forgot how good she was, to be honest.
Well, do you want some trivia on Moira
Let's
Kelly?
have some trivia, and then I have something to share also.
Okay.
Go ahead and do your trivia.
Moira Kelly, it's kind of sad, actually. She hurt herself early on in filming this movie. She hurt her foot. And so a couple things happened. After she and D.B. Sweeney were cast in this, they both didn't know how to ice skate. So for 3 months, they went through intensive training because they didn't want to use stunt doubles that much. They had to at some points, but not that much. And for 3 months, they were doing it. And according to D.B. Sweeney, she was really landing her, and then they started filming. And very early on, she does a landing, and she really hurt her. She broke her foot. Ugh. So she was basically on like a porter's box. They were wheeling her around in scenes and all that kind of stuff. But it really hurt her immediate success because she was supposed to be in A League of Their Own. She was supposed to be Lori Petty.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
In A League of Their Own. If you remember, it was originally supposed to be Deborah Winger and Moira Kelly. And instead, Deborah Winger dropped out because Madonna got cast. So it became Gina Davis, and then Lori Petty stepped in because Moira Kelly couldn't do it. I mean, but really, she had to turn down a lot of work because of this very real foot injury.
Yes.
But the other thing of Moira Kelly is that she's quite religious. She's a Catholic girl. She originally wanted to be a nun growing up. And so she had some pretty strict that's my chair. Pretty strict things in her contract about nudity and even about love scenes. And that kind of limited her to what she could do, say, for more adult roles.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate because I think she is so funny and so good in this. But you know, if this is like the pinnacle of her, I mean, what a great role and what a great fun movie to do.
It was fun. It's interesting that with her upbringing, like she would choose to be an actress. Because it doesn't seem like a very...
Like nun or actress.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. But she was good. And she did a lot of, like, voices and, like...
Lion King. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So she had a career.
Oh, don't... Christina, I hate when you do that.
What? I'm just saying.
I fucking hate when you do that. I did not say that. I'm saying
I want to clarify for the listeners that she did not just
She never
disappear.
stopped acting. She was in, Daybreak with Cuba Gooding Jr. She's done like a million things. She has never stopped acting. My point is to go from, say, a lead in a 90s romantic comedy that she nails. She does a really good job. And that is a crowd pleaser. It wasn't a hit, but it was a crowd pleaser, and it had a whole second life on VHS and DVD and cable. Mm-hmm. This spawned 3 sequels. They're not in any of them. The 2 leads. They said they wouldn't do it because the money was too low.
Well, they said
they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it without each of the other.
Right. They agreed they would do it together, but then I guess the script or whatever money wasn't there.
Yeah, but it ultimately became a huge popular hit on VHS and cable. It spawned 3 sequels in 2006, 2008, and 2010. But Moira Kelly just really, really awesome in this movie.
Yes. So another person that's in this movie that Matt recognized was Roy Dotrice.
Yes.
So he was the person who voiced all the characters in the audiobooks for Game of Thrones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's how he knew him.
So Roy Dotrice, I think I'm saying his name right, he was also in Beauty and the Beast, the TV show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
With Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman.
Interesting.
Yeah. And he is actually a British actor being a Russian coach.
So cool, right? That's really, really cool. He did have a part in Game of Thrones too, but I don't know what that was. But anyway, so that was that. But here's my interesting story. So we're watching this movie, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, Matt and I both. Have you ever seen Blades of Glory?
Yes, once.
Blades of Glory is the cutting edge. Blades of Glory is so it's obviously a little different because it's
already backtracking on this profound
well, it's a little bit
statement.
No, but what's really funny about this is so it's Will Ferrell and John.
Yep.
Napoleon Dynamite leader.
Yeah, I think,
leader man.
Like
I don't know, whatever it is. Sorry, John. So it's the two of them. John is more of the, figure skater thing. Will Ferrell was also a figure skater, but he was more of like the rebel. So he's like the D.B. Sweeney part, right? Mm-hmm. They hate each other. Something happens and they can't skate. They're banned or something, right? And then somehow the coaches get them together and they hate each other and they make it work. It's all the same stuff. And all the way up until that move. The move.
Wow.
Where he takes them and flips
them. Oh my God, I remember.
Exact same
yes.
move.
Yeah.
And Matt and I were dying. Like, I forgot about that part of it from the cutting edge. And then we're watching this and we're like, oh my God, it is Blades of Glory. It is so damn funny. And I didn't know if you had ever seen Blades of Glory, but I can't believe you didn't put it together after watching.
Well, so I'm looking up right now Blades of Glory,
yeah.
And because I'm looking if there's any, if anyone has ever called this out, no one's mentioning it, but it's John Heater. H-E-D-E-R,
Heater. I'm so sorry. Yes, yeah.
And but you know who actually seemingly co-wrote this because she registered the idea at the Writers Guild of America. Do you know who Busy Phillips is?
Oh, is it Mackenzie Phillips?
No, Busy Phillips.
Are you sure? I think she's not related to Mackenzie Phillips.
Oh God, don't do this to me,
Christina.
I think
she is.
Don't do this to me.
I'm going to look her up. Tell me what you were going to tell me about it.
Well, no, I don't think she's related. Don't do this. We're jumping all over the place.
I know!
So, no. But it was her idea for this story, but I was just wondering if maybe she was inspired by The Cutting Edge. But Busy Phillips is from Cougar Town, Freaks and Geeks. She's blonde. She had her own talk show on E, I think. There's so many people.
It's not Bijou.
No, it's Busy. B-U-S-Y.
All right, that's what I'm thinking of, because that's her sibling is Bijou. Bijou. So,
her name is Busy.
Oh my God. So this podcast is out of control right now.
No, because of you.
So anyway.
Because of you.
It's an obvious spoof of The Cutting Edge, is what I'm saying.
Okay. I never clocked that.
Obvious.
Oh my God.
All the way down to the actual... it's the same exact move. And they're like, oh, it's too dangerous. It's never been done before. Same exact
Why
thing.
isn't anyone else calling this out? That makes me mad.
I don't know. They should. Well, we are now.
Yeah, that's true.
We're on the cutting edge of this scandal.
You heard it here first.
So, anyways.
What else you got?
What else do I have? Well, can we take a break and let me organize my thoughts after that whole craziness? Yeah, let's just take a break. We'll be right back.
Hey there, it's Brian.
And Christina.
And we have some exciting news. We now have bonus content on Patreon.
If you're a fan of old roommates or simply enjoy revisiting pop culture, we would love for you to check out our page at patreon.com/oldroommates. Patrons of Old Roommates can expect exclusive content such as special episodes, movie recommendations, special videos from us, and bonus content, among other things. Your support will help us to create more content, offset publishing costs, and expand our resources to improve your listening experience.
Whether you become a patron or not, we appreciate your support. Drop us a comment on social media, give us a rating or review on your podcast app of choice, or send us a message at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Thank you for listening, and now, back to the show. And we're back, talking about The Cutting Edge. Christina, I know I talked a lot, and I want to make sure we get to any notes that you didn't get to, any thoughts you didn't get to.
We do, yeah. I have a bunch of notes that we haven't talked to. One thing that I noticed was they had this whole workout, again, another 80s thing, a whole workout montage.
Yes.
With them all sweating in the gym and stuff. Did it not remind you of Olivia Newton-John's Let's Get Physical?
Oh, a little bit. A little bit,
That is absolutely 100% what I was like, just something about the I don't know what music was on in the background, but it was definitely 80s kind of music. And then just the sweating and just, it was just like, that just reminded me of Olivia Newton-John.
One note I had about, not so much that, but later on, we were talking about Kate, and you didn't like it so much when they were together, when they were liking each other. But what I did like, and I thought was pretty right for her character, is she's such a perfectionist, and she's so no, I'm kind of awesome. And then when she's like, I am throwing myself at you.
Yes.
And I was like, that's really perfect for her character. I remember that actually annoyed me a little bit back in the day.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, it makes a lot more sense through my middle-aged lens that she is exactly like this now.
Yes, and she had never drank before.
Right, that's right.
So, and I thought that was a little irresponsible when she's never, literally she said she'd never had a drink before, and he's giving her shots of tequila or something. Can we start her off with a beer? I thought that was a little irresponsible.
That's true.
But I did love that whole thing. I love that whole scene leading up to her throwing at at him. I loved her drunk. She was a really good drunk.
Yeah.
She actually reminded me, so weird, she reminded me a lot of Winona Ryder.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Specifically, Winona Ryder in Mermaids, for some reason, when she was drunk. Not when Winona was drunk, but when Kate was drunk, she reminded me of Winona Ryder in Mermaids.
I get that. I can see that. Yeah.
It was... I thought she was so, so good in it. And I loved how he reacted to her. How he stood up and was like, no, this isn't the way we're supposed to do this. And I liked how, because she's so socially awkward.
Really quick, not common in the how many fucking 90s movies have we watched with this podcast where a drunk woman
Batman
is just...
comes to mind.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I think that was 89. But... Still, there's so many movies where the woman's drunk and being flirty,
it's not a big
and
deal.
they go
That's how
right
we got
to bed.
laid in the 80s, people.
God.
Well, because it wasn't our fault, right?
No,
we could be a slut and be like, no, I was drunk. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my God, I'm totally just kidding. So, anyway, I really, really liked the scene, and I liked that it was very true to her character. Not only with her just being like, it's me, that whole part of it, but also the fact that she is very socially awkward. She doesn't have any friends.
Right.
She's, very sheltered in her life, in her social life. In the fact that she doesn't know how to handle herself in terms of making the move, right? She's probably never made a first move on anybody.
Right.
Right? And on top of that,
she's surrounded by gay guys. She said it. She's all gay. They're all gay.
Yeah. So I just really liked how she played it. I really liked the acting in that. I thought it was great.
Oh, you know what? And it just reminded me of another... So I have very few notes, because I was really enjoying this, obviously. Yeah. And I liked it. I remember even in 92 or 90, whenever I watched it the first time, there's the gay... he winks at Doug, the gay skater.
Yes!
And Doug doesn't puke.
Right.
He doesn't cry, doesn't run away, he doesn't beat the guy up.
Right.
And what does she say? Kate says something like... something better get used to it. Or some sort of
something
comment
on that. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. It's that's kind of progressive for a 1992 movie where this character is not only to be gay, but to be openly gay to the point of flirting in a PG movie.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And another point about the progressiveness of it, the reaction of his hometown buddies could have been very different.
Yeah.
And you think it's going to go one way at first when they're like, what?
Finger painting?
Finger painting. Yeah, that kind of thing. You think it's going to go that way. And I can see them razzing him about that, right? Yeah. That makes sense. But then the brother, he ends up being supportive. But you think he says something like, do you have to wear a dress or a tutu or something, right?
Yeah.
But... And you're ready to get mad at him for being a jerk. But then he's like, I'm just kidding. This is great. And I loved that. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He is actually supportive. And he's not taking it so, a way it could have gone.
That is a great a great screenplay thing. Because really, again, there's no real villain here. It's really like the two of them being able to get along, to let down their egos a little bit, to work together. That's the tension here. That's the drama. And yeah, the skating, like we said, it's like the skating is almost like a byproduct. It's like a side note.
Yeah, which is so funny.
And because it doesn't, like, I don't know, to me it's like, I mean, I love that it ended on a skate, but what I also liked about the ending, the final skating, is like that it's super short. Oh, it's so short. Oh, and also, it's just assumed that they've won, by the way.
Well, hello. Well, not only that, you don't... I like that. I said, I like that you don't know if they won or not.
Yeah, you don't know.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
But I also thought it was interesting how easy it is to get into the Olympics.
Yeah, that seemed very easy.
I mean, it was like, really? They're in? Okay. And you also don't know if she's going to skate again. So there's that little bit at the end where she's just basically talking about how she's not going to skate anymore, like she's retiring.
Yeah.
And that I felt a little bit let down. Like I'm like, oh, I really kind of wish that she realized a little bit, like thinking about, say, 3/4 of the movie in, that come into that realization, like I'm skating because my mother did. I'm skating because my mother wanted me to, and because my father expects me to, and everybody expects it, and kind of have that, like, no, I'm going to retire because it's not something I want to do. No one's ever asked me if I want to do it, and I'm just like a robot to them, like that kind of thing, like, and how she's feeling a little bit towards the end. But it would have been nice if she realized, wait, I actually do enjoy skating with him.
Yeah.
And kind of have that little bit of a romantic turn.
A little more spelled out.
A little bit more self-awareness. Coming to grips with it. Because at the end, she never actually says that she's going to skate again. She says she's going to retire, and that this is going to be her last skate. And then they end up on, the last scene is them literally on the ice making out or whatever. But you don't know if they won. You don't know if she's going to skate again. And maybe they were just opening it up to, like, a sequel or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I never watched any of the other sequels. No. But that was the only part that kind of I felt wanted a little bit more.
That's fair. I kind of forgot about that. And also, but to that point, it's a little intimidating to have an empty box where your gold medal's going to go.
Oh my God. Who does that?
How rude is that?
Who does that?
Yeah.
I did
love when DB Sweeney said, instead of looking for a go-to guy, you should have started with a go-to girl, Jack. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, he was good. He was very good in that. Do you have anything else to add? Did you like it more, less, same?
I'm going to be honest, I think I liked it exactly the same because, again, I loved it. And upon rewatch, there are things that I'm like, yeah, it feels pretty 80s, but there's other things that I appreciated more. I think the screenplay for a romantic comedy is really good. There's, again, I said it before, I'll say it again. There's no real villain in this, and yet there is tension. There's great, like, both characters are smart. Both characters know their respective worlds, and both know how to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I really think it feels very fair, and that made it really more interesting upon rewatch. So I think about the same.
Yeah, and even, like, the fighting with them, it doesn't seem like they're fighting just to flirt.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They're also not going for the throat. Like they're just so annoyed with each other's own attitudes.
Yeah, almost a sibling-ish kind of thing. Yeah. I liked it more. I didn't really, I liked it back then, but didn't really think much about it. But I liked it more because it wasn't all about the ice skating.
Yeah.
It was about the relationship, and I really liked that slow burn of the relationship growing. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to have 2 fights, and then we're going to learn how to do a jump, and oh, we're in love now. Like, it wasn't that. And even her relationship with Hale, I liked when they introduced him, and, and they get engaged, and, like, I just like that whole, like, kind of slow burn of the relationship between her and Doug. And then they break up, like, and it doesn't automatically mean that she and Doug are together.
Right.
Right? Like, when she breaks up with Hale. So I really appreciated the relationship part of it a lot more this time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, the box office was only $25 million. This was not a big hit, but I think it's one of the things where I think everyone that did see it loved it. And then I think when more people could see it on VHS or DVD or whatever, it became a beloved.
Yeah, it's definitely For me, it's more of a TV movie. It's not a
in a way,
movie.
And I also think that I feel like everyone knows this movie. Like, if you have any interest, right, in like 90s rom-com, and this is a movie that like I think most people are like, oh, it's the ice skating movie, you know. All right, I have a match game.
So
question.
I have a match game question too. Do you want to go first?
Let me get the music set up.
Oh, right. Well, I'll go first while you're.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Setting the movie music. Okay, so here's my question. Kate was... I wrote words that don't make any sense.
Oh, no.
I know what the question is, but I wrote words that don't even make sense. Kate was very, very difficult to work with.
How difficult was she?
She was so difficult. She went through a million different partners.
Yeah.
And even Blank hated her.
Oh, God. Oh.
Yeah, thanks for the music. Oh, so one-sided. So, even Blank. She went through so many partners. So many partners. There's no way this is going to be a match, just so you know.
No way. Because there's even two ways of thinking about it. This is hard.
Yeah, and mine is so bizarre that you'll never ever.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks.
But it's a good answer.
Ding.
All right, so Kate was so difficult. She had a million different partners. Like, they ran out of partners. There was so many.
Yeah.
So they just, like, grabbed as many partners as they can. But out of all of those, even Blank hated her.
So there are two ways to think about this.
Yes.
Because you could think about the biggest asshole.
Yeah.
That's like nothing could make them worse. True. But then you also think of like the nicest person that loses their cool.
Yeah.
And that, but initially thought athlete, and then that sort of fell apart.
Yeah.
We're like, nice male athletes? Who's that? And then I was thinking 90s movies. I was thinking human beings and men. And I thought Tom Hanks. Mr. Likeable.
That's a really good one, because he does like everything. So I went completely different on this.
Okay.
I went likable.
Okay.
And I was thinking, what is someone who likes everyone, who could never not like anyone ever? And I went with
Pee Wee Herman?
Fozzie Bear.
Oh, that's cute. I'd watch that movie. I would watch that. Fozzie Bear on skates. I'd watch that.
So, yeah, I was thinking Kermit, but even, like, Fozzie is even more, like, he does not like anybody. Like, he loves everybody.
Yeah. Or even Rolf.
Yeah.
Because he's so, like, you know.
But he's got the dark side, I think. Rolf.
That's true. He might have a drinking problem.
He had a little bit of that song is a little cynical.
Yeah.
Can't live with him.
Can't live without him. All right. We're jumping into another movie. Okay, so we went from Blades of Glory to the Muppet movie. And here we go. So here's my match game.
Okay.
Christina, wow. That Kate is so cold. Very similar.
Oh my gosh, it's
very similar.
So
but
funny.
It's a little different.
Okay, how cold is she?
Thank you for asking. Well, when they make Whoopi, Doug gets blank.
Easy.
Oh, is that?
Yeah. Okay, ding.
Oh. All right. I hope it's going to be a match then.
It's definitely going to be a match.
Right.
If this is not a match, then you are terrible.
Christina, that Kate is so cold.
How cold is she?
When they make Whoopi, Doug gets blank.
Frostbite.
Frostbite! Yay! But you know what else I wrote? Blue balls.
Oh, that's a good one too. That would have been really... Or snowballs, right?
Oh, snowballs. Or, yeah. I mean, hypothermia is frostbite. Where the judges have accepted that.
Hyper or hypo?
Hypothermia. What did I say? Hyperthermia?
I don't know what you said. I'm not saying you said anything.
You just did.
I said hyper or hypo. Which one is freezing? One's hot and one's cold.
Hypothermia is the cold, I think.
Okay. I would have accepted it.
This is not a science podcast.
I would have accepted it if you spelled it correctly.
Ah!
So on Patreon this week.
Yes.
We have
a couple of things.
So we've written some movie recommendations, some sports themed,
which is really not our
movie
forte.
recommendations. So neither one of us are really sports movies, but there are some interesting ones that you might enjoy, especially if you're a sports person. And hey, you know what? If you are a sports person and you have a recommendation for us, put it in the comments.
Absolutely.
At Patreon. Like, do it. Or if you're not a member yet, then send us an email. Why not? I'd be very interested to know, like, a sports fan's favorite sports movie.
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't that be interesting? So anyway, so look at that. And
the second thing is this really cool interview I found. It's old. It's from like 2014. And D.B. Sweeney gave an interview to Entertainment Weekly all about this movie.
Yeah,
like
it's good.
Only about this movie. And it was. I read it. I loved it. That was super interesting. So we wanted to put that up there.
It's
on
one
Patreon
of my
too.
favorite interviews. I think, like, it's in terms of like an actor talking about the movie.
Yeah,
I really.
They definitely had.
It's a good one. It's so interesting.
Yeah, they definitely had some fun, but it was quite some work to make. So it was interesting.
And so that the interview is actually going to be open to everybody. Like, there's no membership required to read that interview, but you do need to go to patreon.com/oldroommates to see it. We have a lot of other things on there that you do not need a membership for, and then there's some like videos and things that are exclusive to our patrons.
We are, by the way, way into the double digits of content.
Isn't it crazy? I know. It's and honestly, I really love creating content.
It's worth the $2. Trust me.
100% worth the $2.
Oh my god! Well, the cutting edge.
Really do. Yeah, cutting edge. And that's it for us in this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And please give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you're interested in more Old Roommates, including special episodes, bonus content, movie recommendations, and more, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/oldroommates. Comments and ideas can be emailed to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Old Roommates.
Thanks again for listening. This is Christina.
And this is Brian. Until next time.